For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. House Speaker Republican Kevin McCarthy is defending his impeachment inquiry of President Joe Biden as Democrats assail the move. Christopher Martinez reports.
A day after announcing the inquiry, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was back on the podium to explain.
We don't have the president's bank statements. We don't have Hunter Biden's bank statements. Providing information like that.
Representative Pete Aguilar of California is chair of the House Democratic Caucus.
Their only priority is to hurt Joe Biden politically and to help Donald Trump get reelected. This is a Donald Trump revenge tour that Republicans have signed on to, lock, stock, and barrel.
Representative Ted Lieu, also of California, says McCarthy's explanation does not hold up.
And I agree with Republican Ken Buck, who called this, quote, impeachment theater.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre offered another explanation for McCarthy's action, referring to conservative Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia.
She threatened to shut down the government. Can you imagine shutting down the government over a political stunt? We're talking about vital programs that American families need.
In theory, House Republicans could end their impeachment inquiry without ever holding a formal impeachment. But that hardly seems likely in this polarized and pugnacious election year environment. I'm Christopher Martinez.
The death toll in Libya has topped 6,000 from what's been described as tsunami-like flooding after Hurricane Daniel unleashed torrential rains that breached 2 dams, inundating and washing away entire neighborhoods in the coastal city of Derna. The city's mayor says the death toll could triple. As many as 20,000 may have been killed. Search and rescue efforts are still finding bodies as thousands have been buried in mass graves. Libya's 2 rival governments have agreed to work together to respond to the catastrophic damage. At the United Nations, Volker Turk, human rights chief, called climate change a human rights issue as seen in Libya.
I'm profoundly distressed that thousands of lives have been so brutally swept away in eastern Libya. And so many more people have lost their loved ones, their homes, their communities, and their access to basic needs. Storm Daniel is yet another lethal reminder of the catastrophic impact that the changing climate can have on our world.
At least 9,000 people are still missing. A hurricane watch is in place for portions of Maine, and a large area of New England is under a tropical storm watch as Hurricane Lee is expected to reach the region later this week. The threat of another storm comes as the region is still dealing with the impacts of days of torrential rain, flooding, sinkholes, and a likely tornado. Rainfall earlier this week inundated parts of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. Efforts by the Biden administration to limit tailpipe pollution from automobiles faces a crucial test as legal challenges brought by Republican-led states head to a federal appeals court. Arguments are to begin today in the District of Columbia. 3 cases are challenging the rules targeting cars and trucks. Transportation is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to global warming. Republicans say the lawsuits are needed to curtail government overreach. Environmental groups and the Democratic administration say an adverse ruling could jeopardize U.S. action against climate change. The cases could go to the Supreme Court. United Auto Workers are readying for a strike as a deadline looms just before midnight tonight to strike a labor deal with Detroit's 3 automakers, but they remain far apart in contract talks. UAW President Shawn Fain says General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis have raised their initial wage offers, but rejected some of the union's other key demands, including a restoration of pension benefits and cost of living adjustments. In a message to union members last night, Fain displayed a chart showing the Detroit 3 automakers increased stock buybacks 1,500% the last 4 years, while labor costs increased 6%.
The cost of labor for the big 3 is around 4 to 5% of the total operations. So think about that. They could double our wages and not raise car prices and still make billions of dollars in profit. They spent more money enriching shareholders in a year than they spent on us in the entirety of the last contract cycle. They want to scare the American people into thinking that auto workers are the problem. We're not the problem. That chart is the problem. Corporate greed is the problem.
He accused the Detroit Three of price gouging car prices. Fain also noted auto workers for the Big Three are not alone. Some 1,400 UAW members at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Michigan went on strike Wednesday, and members in Pennsylvania and Iowa are also on strike. A federal judge struck down DACA yesterday but kept it in place for existing recipients. DACA is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, an Obama-era policy that protects young undocumented people brought to the U.S. as children from deportation. At issue was a revised version of the federal policy, but U.S. District Judge Andrew Hanen agreed with Texas and 8 other states that filed a legal challenge. DACA is illegal. MALDEF, the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund, says it will appeal. I'm Christina Onestad, reporting for Pacifica Radio.